Section 6 of Samson Agonistes. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Martin Geeson. Samson Agonistes by John Milton. Section 6. Samson. Dalila. How cunningly the sorceress displays her own transgressions, to upbraid me mine! That malice, not repentance, brought thee hither, by this appears. I gave, thou sayest, the example, I led the way. Bitter reproach, but true. I to myself was false, ere thou to me. Such pardon, therefore, as I give my folly, take to thy wicked deed, which when thou seest impartial, self-severe, inexorable, thou wilt renounce thy seeking, and much rather confess it feigned. Weakness is thy excuse, and I believe it, weakness to resist Philistian gold. If weakness may excuse, what murderer, what traitor, parricide, incestuous, sacrilegious, but may plead it? All wickedness is weakness. That plea, therefore, with God or man, will gain thee no remission. But love constrained thee. Call it furious rage to satisfy thy lust. Love seeks to have love. My love how couldst thou hope, who tookst the way to raise in me inexpiable hate, knowing as needs I must, by thee betrayed? In vain thou striv'st to cover shame with shame, or by evasions thy crime uncoverst more. Since thou determin'st weakness for no plea in man or woman, though to thy own condemning, hear what assaults I had, what snares besides, what sieges girt me round ere I consented, which might have awed the best resolved of men, the constantest to have yielded without blame. It was not gold, as to my charge thou layest, that wrought with me. Thou knowst the magistrates and princes of my country came in person, solicited, commanded, threatened, urged, adjured by all the bonds of civil duty and of religion, pressed how just it was, how honourable, how glorious to entrap a common enemy, who had destroyed such numbers of our nation. And the priest was not behind, but ever at my ear, preaching how meritorious with the gods it would be to ensnare an irreligious dishonourer of Dagon. What had I to oppose against such powerful arguments? Only my love of thee held long debate, and combated in silence all these reasons with hard contest. At length that grounded maxim, so rife and celebrated in the mouths of wisest men, that to the public good private respects must yield, with grave authority took full possession of me, and prevailed. Virtue, as I thought, truth, duty, so enjoining. I thought where all thy circling wiles would end, in feigned religion, smooth hypocrisy. But had thy love, still odiously pretended, been as it ought sincere, it would have taught thee far other reasonings, brought forth other deeds. I, before all the daughters of my tribe and of my nation, chose thee from among my enemies, loved thee, as too well thou knewest, too well, unbosomed all my secrets to thee, not out of levity, but overpowered by thy request, who could deny thee nothing. Yet now am judged an enemy. Why then didst thou at first receive me for thy husband? Then, as since then, thy country's foe professed. Being once a wife, for me thou wast to leave parents and country. Nor was I their subject, nor under their protection, but my own. Thou mine, not theirs. If aught against my life thy country sought of thee, it sought unjustly, against the law of nature, law of nations, no more thy country, but an impious crew of men conspiring to uphold their state by worse than hostile deeds, violating the ends for which our country is a name so dear, not therefore to be obeyed. But zeal moved thee, to please thy gods thou didst it, gods unable to acquit themselves and prosecute their foes but by ungodly deeds. The contradiction of their own deity gods cannot be. Less therefore to be pleased, obeyed, or feared, these false pretexts and varnished colours failing, bear in thy guilt how foul must thou appear. In argument with men a woman ever goes by the worse, whatever be her cause. For want of words, no doubt, or lack of breath. Witness when I was worried with thy peals. I was a fool, too rash, and quite mistaken in what I thought would have succeeded best. Let me obtain forgiveness of thee, Samson. Afford me place to show what recompense towards thee I intend for what I have misdone, misguided. Only what remains past cure bear not too sensibly, nor still insist to afflict thyself in vain. Though sight be lost, life yet hath many solaces, enjoyed where other senses want not their delights, at home in leisure and domestic ease, exempt from many a care and chance to which eyesight exposes daily men abroad. I to the Lords will intercede, not doubting their favourable ear, that I may fetch thee from forth this loathsome prison house to abide with me, where my redoubled love and care with nursing diligence, to me glad office, may ever tend about thee to old age, with all things grateful cheered, and so supplied, that what by me thou hast lost, thou least shalt miss. No, no, of my condition take no care, it fits not. Thou and I long since are twain. Nor think me so unwary or accursed to bring my feet again into the snare where once I have been caught. I know thy trains, though dearly to my cost, thy gins and toils, thy fair enchanted cup and warbling charms no more on me have power, their force is nulled. So much of adders' wisdom I have learnt to fence my ear against thy sorceries. If in my flower of youth and strength, when all men loved, honoured, feared me, thou alone could hate me, thy husband, slight me, sell me, and forego me, how wouldst thou use me now, blind, and thereby deceivable, in most things as a child helpless, thence easily contemned and scorned, and last neglected? How wouldst thou insult, when I must live uxorious to thy will, in perfect thraldom? How again betray me, bearing my words and doings to the lords to gloss upon, and censuring, frown or smile? This jail I count the house of liberty, to thine whose doors my feet shall never enter. Let me approach at least and touch thy hand. Not for thy life, lest fierce remembrance wake my sudden rage to tear thee joint by joint. At distance I forgive thee, go with that. Bewail thy falsehood, and the pious works it hath brought forth, to make thee memorable among illustrious women, faithful wives. Cherish thy hastened widowhood with the gold of matrimonial treason. So farewell. I see thou art implacable, more deaf to prayers than winds and seas. Yet winds to seas are reconciled at length, and sea to shore. Thy anger unappeasable still rages, eternal tempest never to be calmed. Why do I humble thus myself, and suing for peace reap nothing but repulse and hate? Bid go with evil omen, and the brand of infamy upon my name denounced. To mix with thy concernments I desist henceforth, nor too much disapprove my own. Fame, if not double-faced, is double-mouthed, and with contrary blast proclaims most deeds. On both his wings, one black, the other white, bears greatest names in his wild aery flight. My name, perhaps, among the circumcised in Dan, in Judah, and the bordering tribes, to all posterity may stand defamed, with malediction mentioned, and the blot of falsehood most unconjugal traduced. But in my country, where I most desire, in Ekron, Gaza, Ashdod, and in Gath, I shall be named among the famousest of women, sung at solemn festivals, living and dead recorded, who to save her country from a fierce destroyer chose above the faith of wedlock bands my tomb with odours visited and annual flowers. Not less renowned than in Mount Ephraim, Jael, who with inhospitable guile smote Sisera sleeping, through the temples nailed. Nor shall I count it heinous to enjoy the public marks of honour and reward conferred upon me for the piety which to my country I was judged to have shown. At this, whoever envies or repines, I leave him to his lot, and like my own. End of Section 6. Recording by Martin Geeson in Hazelmere, Surrey.